Have you ever felt that something is changing between two people, even though neither of them has said a word? Not attraction, not friendship, something quieter, deeper, something that grows in silence before it ever becomes visible. Because love rarely begins with grand confessions. Most of the time, it starts with small, psychological shifts, tiny changes in behavior that most people miss. And that's what makes it dangerous and fascinating. You could be watching two people talk every day and never realize that love is slowly forming between them, until the signs become impossible to ignore. Welcome to Psycho Library. Today we're uncovering 4 things two people do when love is secretly growing, based on psychology, emotional attachment patterns, and real human behavior. Pay close attention, because by the end of this video, you may recognize these signs in someone you know, or even in yourself. Sign 1. They start creating accidental moments together. Here's something interesting. When love begins to grow, the brain starts assigning higher emotional value to a specific person. That means being around them no longer feels neutral. It feels rewarding. Psychologists connect this to the brain's dopamine system, the same reward circuit involved in motivation and craving. And once that happens, something subtle changes. Two people begin creating opportunities to see each other, while pretending it's unintentional. They don't say, "I want to spend more time with you." Instead, it sounds like, "Oh, you're here too. I was just passing by. I thought I'd check in." Looks casual, but often it isn't. When someone starts mattering emotionally, the brain naturally seeks repeated exposure. Why? Because repeated interaction strengthens attachment. This is connected to a psychological principle called the mere exposure effect. The more we see someone, especially in positive contexts, the more emotionally familiar and attractive they become. That's why secretly growing love often hides inside routine. Suddenly, they always seem to arrive at the same time. They stay longer after conversations. They find small reasons to continue interaction. Even silence becomes comfortable. And this is important. People in secretly growing love often protect themselves from rejection. So instead of expressing feelings directly, they choose plausible excuses. That way, if the feelings aren't mutual, they can still retreat safely. No confession, no embarrassment, just coincidence. But repeated coincidence stops being coincidence. Imagine 2 coworkers. At first, they barely notice each other. Then somehow, they keep meeting in the hallway. Lunch breaks overlap. Coffee runs become shared rituals. No one planned it, or maybe both did, without fully admitting it. That's how hidden emotional attachment works. Not loudly, quietly, repeatedly. And over time, those accidental moments stop feeling accidental. They become emotionally necessary. Because without realizing it, both people start structuring their day around each other's presence, and that's where secret love begins to reveal itself. But proximity alone doesn't prove love. There's another sign, far more powerful, because when feelings deepen, something changes in the way they listen, and most people never notice it. Sign 2, they remember tiny details. Nobody else notices. Here's a question. Why do some people forget your birthday, but remember something random you said 6 months ago? Psychology has an answer. We remember what carries emotional significance. When someone becomes important to us, our attention sharpens. Small details stop feeling small, they become meaningful. And when love is secretly growing, this becomes obvious. 2 people start remembering things that others overlook. Not just big facts, tiny ones, like your favorite snack, the song you played once in the car, that you hate crowded places, that you get quiet when stressed. These details matter because emotional attachment changes perception. The brain becomes more selective. It begins prioritizing information connected to that person. In simple terms, when someone matters emotionally, your mind stores more about them. And here's where it gets deeper. Remembering details isn't only about memory, it signals emotional investment. It says, "I notice you. I pay attention. What matters to you matters to me." That kind of attention feels rare, because most people listen to respond. But someone developing hidden love listens to understand. That difference changes everything. Imagine casually mentioning, "I haven't slept well lately." Weeks later they ask, "Are you sleeping better now?" That sounds simple, but psychologically it's powerful because it proves continued mental presence. You stayed in their thoughts after the conversation ended. That means emotional attachment is growing beyond situational interaction. You're no longer just part of their day, you're part of their internal world. And that's where secret love becomes dangerous. Because once someone occupies mental space consistently, distance stops reducing connection. Sometimes it strengthens it, but there's something even stronger than remembering details. A sign that reveals emotion through the body itself, and the body rarely lies. Sign 3, their body language starts syncing. Naturally, words can be controlled. Body language is harder to fake, and when love grows in secret, the body often reveals what the mouth hides. One of the strongest psychological indicators is mirroring. Mirroring happens when two people unconsciously copy each other's gestures, posture, tone, or pace. For example, one leans forward, seconds later the other does too. One smiles softly, the other mirrors that expression. One speaks slower, the other adjusts rhythm. This isn't random. Studies in social psychology show that mirroring increases during emotional connection and rapport. It reflects subconscious alignment. In other words, the nervous system begins syncing. That sync creates comfort, safety, familiarity, and attraction. You'll notice longer eye contact, slight leaning in, relaxed shoulders, subtle smiling for no reason. Even pauses feel different. Silence becomes warm instead of awkward. That matters because comfort in silence is rare. Most connections need constant conversation. Growing love doesn't. Sometimes presence alone becomes enough, and that's powerful. But physical synchronization isn't the deepest sign. The deepest sign appears when vulnerability enters the relationship. That's where hidden love becomes undeniable. Sign 4. They begin sharing emotional truths. They hide from others. This is the biggest sign, because love doesn't grow through attraction alone. It grows through emotional exposure. At first, conversations stay safe, surface level, normal. Then something shifts. They begin revealing parts of themselves they usually protect. Fears, regrets, insecurities, pain, dreams. Psychologists call this progressive self-disclosure, and it's one of the strongest predictors of emotional intimacy. Why? Because vulnerability creates trust, and trust creates attachment. When two people begin saying things like, "I don't usually tell people this. I've never said this out loud. You're easy to talk to," that means emotional walls are lowering. This is critical because people don't become vulnerable around people they merely like. They become vulnerable around people who feel emotionally safe, and emotional safety is often where love begins. Think about that. Not chemistry, not beauty, safety. The feeling that someone sees your flaws and stays. That changes people. And when two people become each other's emotional refuge, secret love often follows. They start seeking each other during stress, during confusion, during loneliness, because being understood becomes addictive. That's when the bond deepens beyond logic. And often, that's the moment both people know something real is happening, even if neither says it. So let's recap. When love is secretly growing between two people, they often, 1. Create accidental moments together. 2. Remember tiny details nobody else notices. 3. Sync their body language naturally. 4. Share emotional truths they hide from others. These signs are subtle, quiet, easy to miss. But psychology tells us something important. Love usually reveals itself before words ever do. In habits, in attention, in presence, in silence. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced secret love, where feelings were obvious but unspoken? Comment below with your thoughts. And if you found this video valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another psychology deep dive from Psycho Library. Because sometimes understanding people changes everything. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.